Okay, we're recording. Hello there, Red Ulrich. I'm doing a response video, and this is the first time I've done a video like this, and I'm using very basic technology, so you'll have to bear with me. And it's regarding the last video I made, which was called "This is going to lose me a lot of subscribers," and I did think that was going to be the case. I thought that I'd lose perhaps a third or more of my subscribers, but I was actually surprised. As far as I can see, I haven't lost anybody. In fact, I've added quite a few people come on, and most of the comments I got, I think I had 40 comments. There we go. 40 comments, and from what I've seen, they're all pretty much supporting what I said, apart from one, which is great, because if you don't get people disagreeing with you, then this is what I always say, you live in an echo chamber. You need people who are going to disagree. And if only everybody could accept people disagreeing with them without getting hysterical about it, that'd be great. Even though that person accused me of living in a tiny little narrow-minded box, which is ridiculous, because what I'm saying is that I don't think, in my opinion, I say that this is the place to talk about religion and politics. Outside of this, I've got another channel, which you won't find because it's not connected. It's on a different email. Using a different handle, and I talk politics with people, and it gets quite heated. Somebody called me their favourite savage or something like that, because it does get very animated and energetic. So this idea that I'm easily offended and emotionally fragile and can't take talking about politics, it's like, you're not getting it. I do talk politics. I talk politics more than I talk pipes. I have a different channel. I debate dramatically with people about politics, but I don't come to the YouTube pipe smoking community to talk about politics. And all I'm suggesting is, if you want to talk politics, if you want to play cricket, why go to a golf club? If you want to play politics, why come to a pipe smoking channel? Okay, but I'm not. That's in my opinion. I'm saying I'm not telling anybody. I'm not giving orders. I'm not the gatekeeper. I'm just suggesting. So anyway, yeah, I expected fireworks. There wasn't. It's a bit like when you light a firework and then you walk away, your fingers in your ears, waiting for it to go off, and nothing happens, apart from this one comment, which is like, you wait and nothing happens, and you think, don't go back, and all of a sudden there's a little fizz, a burp and a fart, and that's it. You think, is that it? Okay. But I felt it was worthy to address this little comment, because the guy went to the trouble to make a video to me, and I think he misrepresented me, and I think he used a lot of hyperbole and strawman arguments, so that's why I'm addressing it. But like I say, most people, the comments here, are just saying, like, well said, I agree 100%. I've lost that one. I also unsubscribe. I totally agree. I don't go to pipe channel for a religion or people's thoughts on morality or personal politics. But we'll go into this because the guy made a video to me. So unfortunately, this gentleman speaks very quietly, and you might only just pick up what he's saying, but I thought I'd deal with the issues as they come, because it's worth dissecting to get down to the truth. So this is when he talks a bit about his falcons, but then later on says that he doesn't like people talking about the pipes that they've got, which is a bit weird. But
honest with you, there's been a bit of sanctimony creeping in.
Been a bit of sanctimony creeping in. And when I heard that, I thought, really, maybe I better check the definition of sanctimony to see whether that's an accurate representation of what I'm doing. And it was what I thought it is. The definition is to make a show of being morally superior to other people. Is that justified now? Am I, by saying that I make a point of saying I personally don't like people talking about their political opinions on the channel, is that me saying I'm morally superior? Or is that just expressing my personal preference? I would say it's the other way around. It's the people who force their political views down your throat who are trying to virtue signal and show how morally superior they are because they're the virtuous ones. So I think you're holding the wrong end of the sword there, but there you go.
Some people's YTPC videos.
Just hearing.
Basically,
I might have to pause this at stages because it does sort of drag on a bit, but
telling people what they should or shouldn't be discussing on that channel.
which I literally didn't, did I? However, I didn't tell people what they should or shouldn't be discussing on their chat. If you listen to what I said, I actually said this. Now, I'm an advocate for free speech. I believe in free speech quite passionately. And I think that if people want to talk about whatever, on whatever channel, that's up to them. There you go. I believe in free speech, and if people want to talk about whatever, on whatever channel they've got, that's up to them. I can't see how that's me telling people what they can and can't say. Okay, I'm just going to pause it a sec. Okay, I've fast forwarded a little bit now.
The YTPC were frequently told it's like a big family of lovely, fluffy people who all share an interest in pipes for a while.
Right, don't know if you heard that. He says we're frequently told that the YTPC is this fluffy family of people who share this interest. Frequently by who? I don't think I've been told that. I'm a member of the YTPC for mostly information sharing, which is if somebody's trying a tobacco and they're saying how good it is, that's something I might try. Or cigars. If somebody's talking about the latest range of Savinellis and that they've got one and this is what it looks like and what they think of it, that's useful. I might consider getting one. I'm not looking for a fluffy family, whatever a fluffy family is. Okay, right, well maybe I'll just skip that bit. Okay, so we're getting to the point of the family point anyway.
It's a notch up in the family style environment. But the only difference is that in my family I let people shoot the breeze and talk and I listen to them, you know.
Okay, I don't know if you heard that. He says, but in my family, because he's comparing the YTPC to a family, he says, in my family, I let people shoot the breeze and give their opinions and I listen to them, etc. So do most people with their family, because that's different. Talking to your family is different from talking to an audience of mostly strangers. The word family comes from familiar, because you're familiar with how people feel about different things, how they're going to react to different things. And even if they're not family, if they're friends, or you're also there having a cigar with a friend or a pipe with a friend and you're talking, and you bring up a subject like politics and you don't know how they're going to react, you can gauge, because you're interacting and relating to them, you can engage with how they respond to what you're saying. You can, perhaps if you think, hang on a minute, I can see that this person's not comfortable with that, or if you get an adverse reaction, what you think you were going to get, you can perhaps reword what you've said and perhaps put things a bit more delicately to see if you can soften their harsh reaction to what you've said. That's different to preaching, which is basically what people are doing when they're talking politics on YouTube, which they can do. I'm not saying they can't. But you're talking to people, a group of people. You might as well be in a pulpit talking to people who you can't gauge their reaction back. You can't see a response even from them. So comparing it to a family, you're comparing apples with oranges. That's what you're doing.
Engage in the discussion, or maybe I don't. And then sometimes over a pipe I'll contemplate events, or contemplate events in the world, just while I'm smoking my pipe, you know.
I get it, and we're all being reasonable at the minute. It's been quite a reasonable
I
argument.
get to talk to myself.
I'll pause it. Okay, we get into it.
Because there's no one in the room. So I might have a wee ramble about something while I'm smoking my pipe.
Nothing wrong with rambling. That's where the misrepresentation comes from. I haven't said anything about rambling.
Just in the same way as you probably have a wee ramble if you're ever in another pipe smoker's company.
Which, as I've just explained, is different to talking to an audience, because you're gauging the other person's reaction. And yeah, you can sit and have a pipe or a cigar or cigarette with anybody and have a discussion on anything.
And if you're in that pipe smoker's company, you may talk about tobacco, or you may talk about your pipe or whatever. But I'm sure that's not all you'll talk about for that whole time that we're from, you know.
Never said it was.
We all enjoy our pipes and pipe smoking, but there's other things going on. You might bring that up, you might talk to people, you know, about what's going on in your life. Anything. And that's the beauty of spending time with other people. And especially when there's people who only interact with you not because they're work colleagues.
I don't know if you're hearing this all right, but he's basically saying that when you're with somebody, you might be rambling away about all things, and because you share a passion in pipe smoking, it's not because you're work colleagues or family, it's friends. Anyway, I'll have to pause it and get to the point. Okay, back to it.
I'm interested to hear people's opinions on all sorts of things. You know. Don't always agree. Sometimes I do agree. But I would never tell them to shut up.
I like to hear people's opinions on all sorts of things. I don't always agree. Yeah, same here. I like to hear people's opinions on all kinds of things, and I don't always agree. And sometimes I might want to disagree with them straight out. But in my experience, through other media, that leads to people getting triggered and upset, and before you know it, insults are being dished out. So there are certain subjects, two mainly, where I don't want to have a discussion and know your opinions on things, just for the sake of not having a big fallout. Because I know if one side puts their political point across, if I then challenge it, I'll get people criticising me and saying, why are you causing trouble? Why don't you just let this person say what they want? And then he says, well, I would never tell them to shut up. And that's when the first glimmer of any emotion, really, that he says, I would never tell them to shut up. Now, I watched the video back and I think what he's saying, referring to that, I don't think I told anybody to shut up, but right at the end I said, just keep puffing your pipe and keep your trap shut. But I said it with a smile. So if you miss the humour and you think that's actually me pointing a finger and saying, shut up, well, I'm sorry, but you just missed the point. It wasn't me telling anybody to shut up. In fact, I say, I'm an advocate for free speech. I believe in free speech quite passionately. And I think that if people want to talk about whatever, on whatever channel, that's up to them. So is that me telling people to shut up? Okay.
I never tell them. This is not the time or the place. You know.
I'd never tell them this is not the time or the place. Well, I'd never tell somebody, hey, this is not the time or the place, but I might say, in my opinion, it's not the time and the place. And that's a suggestion, not a demand, isn't it? And that's what I'm doing. I'm making a suggestion. I'm not giving orders. I'm making a suggestion that perhaps if you want to talk about that, there are better places.
Wait a minute, I got to know you through an interest in football. You can only ever talk to me about football.
Who said that? Well, that's that is a pretty bad analogy. In the pipe smoking thing, I listen to people talk about all kinds of things, from bushcraft to kayaking, all people that are pipe smoking and doing their activities, sharing their interests, and it's fantastic. People that tell their stories, people that talk about places they've been, people that actually take their cameras with them and film when they're on vacation somewhere, and they take their pipes and they visit pipe shops. There's a lot of fantastic stuff. I've never once turned around and said you shouldn't be talking about anything other than pipe smoking. So that is pretty bad misrepresentation of what I'm saying. You know, I've never said that you can only talk about pipe smoking things. All I've said is that, in my opinion, politics and religion are too much of a divisive subject. And I've said in my opinion, in fact, you can hear it out of my own mouth. Although I defend people's right to say what they like, I'm also entitled to be a little bit annoyed and think that it's not the right place, in my opinion. In my opinion, it makes me a little bit annoyed, and I think it's not the right place, in my opinion. That's just my opinion. If you want to keep talking about politics, I'm not the gatekeeper.
I'd like to think that my friends, people who are kind enough to click on my videos, would allow me the space, the freedom to sometimes maybe get things off my chest while I'm smoking a pipe and explaining this to you. But I don't know. I'm starting to wonder. Maybe there's a maybe have to meet the approval of YTPC gatekeepers. Now, I
See, that's when you know somebody's got triggered. When they start using hyperbole like that. You know, they're exaggerating the situation to a ridiculous level. You know, I like to think that friends who are kind enough to click on my videos are going to allow me the freedom to say what I want. Do I have to click my video again when I say I believe that people are allowed to say what they want? That's what I'm saying. And he said, perhaps I have to meet the approval of the YTPC gatekeepers. Who are the YTPC? Are you saying that I'm a gatekeeper, that I'm sort of extending some authority? that's hyperbole. That's ridiculous, and that's when you know somebody is taking things personally.
started in 2013.
And it's funny he's taking it personally, because I'd never even heard of the gentleman before he said he disagreed with me and he'd made a video.
In YTPC, and I started a channel basically because I wanted to respond to people and comment and that sort of thing. So that's why I started my channel. Nobody ever told me I had to, if I was going to start a channel and comment on people's pipe smoking things, that I should only be limited to opening boxes and showing people.
I've never said you are. I've never said, and I've literally played it probably 3 times now. I said that people can put whatever they want on their channel. Pretending that you didn't know that you're only allowed to talk about box openings, and this starts to sound like a critique of my channel now, because he's talking about things what I've put on and basically, you know, ridiculing those things.
Mass market pipe that I bought that you could buy too, or probably 300 pints, and tell you that Virginia tobaccos have got a grassy or citrus oil, or the black here is kind of smoky, you know, or
what?
this is how you heat up your pipe. That sort of.
Oh, right, so we're down to mockery now. We're down to saying that, telling people for the 300th time about Virginia tobaccos being grassy and Latakias being smoky, or this is how we tamper pipe. I think you're a little bit too emotionally invested in this, and to be honest with you, if somebody comes on a pipe smoking channel and doesn't want to talk about pipes, perhaps you want to go on a different channel, perhaps a religious one or a political one. Just a thought. You're free to do what you want. I don't really care.
You know, because there's only so many times that really you can watch that kind of stuff.
Yeah, there's only so many times you can see the same thing.
And fair play.
Which is why I like ones where people are talking about taking their pipe out and while they're walking the dog and talking about the scenery, or talking about kayaking, or talking about bushcraft, or talking about their trip to some shop in Italy.
Tell you not to do that. I'm not going to tell you, not to tell me what's happening in your life, or this new event that's happening in your life. I'm not going to, you know, you do what you want on your channel, and if you want to talk about politics and you want to talk about religion, well, that's fine. I'm no bother. You talk about it, and if I don't like you, I'll unsubscribe, just like you unsubscribe to me.
Which is literally what I said. That's literally what I said. In fact, I might be able to find it. Okay, here we go. Now, I'm an advocate for free speech. I believe in free speech quite passionately. And I think that if people want to talk about whatever, on whatever channel, that's up to them. It's up to them. I'll just desubscribe from their channel because I don't want to hear people's politics. And that's my freedom as well. There you go. Literally exactly the same as what you said. Exactly the same. If you want to talk about politics, if you want to talk about religion, that's your freedom to do so. And if I don't like it, I'll just desubscribe. The only difference is he adds, just like you'll desubscribe to me. And that's how you know somebody's a bit of a narcissist, because A, I'd never been subscribed to this person in the first place, so I'm not desubscribing to you, and two, what are you talking about? Because I never even knew of your existence before your video anyway. So I've never said I'll desubscribe to you.
I mean, I realise there are emotionally sensitive people out there.
There certainly are emotionally sensitive people out there.
Handle anything that takes them out of their own narrow little box, and that's fine.
Sorry, I had to pause it there because I was just thinking about that is the biggest misconception of me of all. I work with a lot of people with a lot of different political ideas, and when we're around the mess table, there's no hold barred. The fur flies sometimes. There's a chap here today who I worked with many years ago, and then I bumped into him, started working with him again, and his politics had changed quite dramatically. And he knew about stuff that I'd put on, political things, and we had a big row. And it was, looking back, it's funny. We had a big row, but not personally. I mean, it was quite a heated debate, and I think some of the people around were like, "This is getting a bit bad." And I said, "Look, me and Jay have known each other for years. You know, at the end of the day, we shake hands, we're buddies. We just have different political ideas. Yeah, I'm not in a narrow little box. I'm quite the opposite. I'll discuss it, but I don't know how many times to keep reiterating this. I don't want to be the one who starts challenging people's political opinions in the YTPC, because then I'll be seen as a troublemaker. And I think there's probably a lot of silent majority, because a lot of people agreed with me, a lot of people come on and made comments and said I agree. A lot of people perhaps feel a bit intimidated when somebody's coming on and preaching politics to them, and they don't want to disagree because they don't want to be seen as troublemakers. So it's a shame people can't be considerate and not preach.
I'm not for you. I'm not your type of person. Right? You know,
I'm not subscribed to you.
Alright, it doesn't matter. 10 people watch, one person watches, I'm really no bother. But don't tell me what I can and cannot talk about on my...
I never did, right? I have never been subscribed to you. So it doesn't matter to you, literally doesn't matter to you whether I don't like what you're saying, because I've never subscribed anyway. And I have never told you or anybody else what they can and can't say. Literally, do I have to play it again? Literally said the opposite, right? If you can't take a little joke at the end where I say keep your pipe puffing and keep your trap shut, perhaps you need to look at your sense of humour failure. So that's that. I'll pause it. You know, in fairness, he did say that he did think about whether or not to make this video, which shows that he's sensitive to whether he's causing trouble or not. And I'm the same. I thought about it. In fact, you can hear here. But I've been very busy, and I thought maybe I should just ignore it. But I just really wanted to say, guys, do you really think this is the place to share your political opinions? Yeah, it's just a question. Do you really think? It's a question, do you really think this is the place to share your political opinions? Do you think that's the best idea? It's just about time and place, that's all. So, and this was disappointing because, I mean, here's an example of dropping out politics.
We have the blessed Trump coming to give us a visit.
The President of the United
An official
States.
visit. The Queen's quite okay with him attending the palace, and
well, she had Barack Obama, who dropped more bombs on the Middle East than the two Bush presidents put together. So
probably meet the Prime Minister. And that the Speaker of the House of Parliament is not keen on him speaking to Parliament. He says somebody has to earn that right, and doesn't think Donald Trump's up to it. Not quite sound.
So there you go. So John Bercow, the Speaker of the House of Commons, John Bercow, that obnoxious, repellent little man. You know, I can do politics as well. Loathsome, obnoxious, repellent little John Bercow, who's been accused of bullying and harassing one of the most arrogant little shits that has ever been in the House of Commons. A man who, I mean, when most people say I wouldn't piss on somebody if they're on fire, I mean, that's bad for anybody, but for a firefighter to say it is like, well, yeah, well, I would. If he was on fire, I would put the fire out, but I'd use a shovel and I'd beat the fire out. So there you go. I can talk politics. Now, you know, do you like that? Anyway. But this is what I was getting at.
But anyway, I'm told I must never talk about politics or religion.
Who's told you that? Who's told you must never talk about politics or religion? See, that's hyperbole, isn't it? That's misrepresentation and hyperbole, because I've never said that. I have said everybody's free to talk about what they want on their channel. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's all on video. You could, you know, this is the trouble. I find that you have to repeat yourself, even though something's there for record, and anytime you want to see it. But
or anything else to that matter except pipes and tobacco.
well, who said that? Who said you can't talk about anything except for pipes and tobacco? I literally never said that. Never.
I never could take orders.
Who gave orders? I'd like to know who gave orders.
Not even when I was in the church.
So there you have it. I'm finishing this here because I'm probably talking to a brick wall. But it is disappointing how people will misrepresent you. The only thing I'll apologise for was the joke I made at the end. I didn't mean keep puffing on your pipe and keep your trap shut. And I thought the smile would let people know that that's a joke. So if my last video didn't lose me subscribers, this one certainly will. But tough tits. Okay. C'est tout.